Flax seeds are one of the most absolutely terrible so-called health foods that you can eat. I put out a video about 6 months ago on the channel here talking about this very issue and the hormonal effects and the estrogenic activity that's promoted from these flax seeds. And a lot of people completely disagreed. Even though I was just reporting medical facts and medical research, they didn't believe it. So what I did is I went through all the objections in the comments, and in today's video, I'm going to bust every single objection that people left on that video, and I'm going to tell you actually a massive amount of medical research about flax seeds, about why you should not eat them. I've compiled 57 peer-reviewed studies, all demonstrating the anti-health effects of consuming flax seeds, from making prostate and breast cancer tumor growth more aggressive, to inhibition of reproductive hormone production, to even large-scale thyroid disruption. So buckle up and get ready, because we're about to bust this flaxseed myth once and for all. First off, I think it's important to identify what I mean by the word and the idea of good health. I personally view health in the human body from a systemic view. In doing so, I see the body as one whole system that operates optimally only when two major conditions are met. First, all micronutrient deficiencies are corrected. Therefore, anything that causes a micronutrient deficiency in the body would be anti-health or unhealthy. Second, the body is hormonally balanced, meaning the stress hormones like cortisol, estrogen, prolactin, and SHBG are low, while protective hormones like all the reproductive hormones and thyroid hormones are high. The balance of the ratios of stress to protective hormones are absolutely essential for health in the body. Therefore, anything that causes hormonal imbalance and endocrine disruption is considered unhealthy. If anybody disagrees that the body does not need adequate micronutrient levels to operate properly, or that the body should have a higher stress hormones or low reproductive hormones, well, then it's understandable that they disagree with me. I wish them the best of luck, though, in attempting to live long lives and reproduce. But if you agree with me that the body needs sufficient raw material from vitamins and minerals to operate properly without deficiencies, and that it should exist in a state of hormonal balance, then you'll naturally follow my logic as to what is healthy for the body and what is not. So now that I've identified exactly what health means, and that we can agree upon that, I'm going to show you why eating flax seeds is indeed unhealthy. I mentioned earlier that flax seeds are powerful hormone disruptors, endocrine disruptors. Therefore, that is one of the reasons that they're unhealthy. They disrupt not only the reproductive hormones, but also the thyroid hormones. Now, the other thing is that they're proven to promote it's assumed that this is through estrogenic activity, promote cancerous tumor growth in certain types of tissues, including the prostate and the breast tissue. And that is because these tissues are actually very high in estrogen receptors, and they respond poorly to high estrogenic activity in the body. So pursuant this information, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this video down into two distinct sections. The first section, I'm going to show you all the research related to flax seeds and hormone disruption from both reproductive and thyroid perspective. And then on the second section of the video, I'm going to break down all of the research showing you how flax seeds are indeed bad for cancer. It's really important to first cover the breakdown of a handful of key compounds that are found in all flax seeds. These are critical to understand. The first one is lignans. Lignans are phytoestrogens that have been shown to directly inhibit steroid synthesis while increasing estrogenic activity in the body. The flax seeds are the richest known nutritional source of lignans. Now, second thing you need to know about is called Genistein. Genistein is an isoflavone phytoestrogen that also increases estrogenic activity in the body while inhibiting important reproductive functions such as spermatogenesis and steroid hormone synthesis in men, while increasing uterine weight and causing endocrine disruption in the female reproductive systems in women. And the last thing, the third compound in flax seeds that's really common that you need to know about is called DAIDZEIN. Now, DAIDZEIN is another common isoflavone phytoestrogen. It's been shown in the research to have similar anti-reproductive effects in both men and women. I'm going to reference these compounds quite a bit here in this recap of the research on flax seeds, so I want to make sure that you understood what they were. The health or anti-health effects of foods are entirely dependent on the effects of certain compounds in that food on the body. Now, don't fall into the thought trap that just because something is natural, that means it's good. You must respect nature. It's not something to be treated as if it's subservient to us humans. This attitude is akin to walking up to a bear as if you're entitled to be able to pet it, while expecting no adverse consequences. It's arrogant for a human to believe that just because something grows in nature that it's subservient to the human body. The plant kingdom can be just as powerful, either in a positive or negative way, as any animal. Respect plants and the effects of the compounds in them in the same way you would respect an animal. Many plants have evolved incredible defenses against being eaten. It's pretty obvious to me that the anti-nutrient and anti-reproductive effects of most seeds are actually a natural evolutionary defense against animals eating them and incorporating them into their regular diets. Seeds are literally the seed of a plant's life. They must protect themselves in order to continue their cyclical process of life. Now, because I know you want the evidence, let's dig into the meat and potatoes of this research. All right, so in this first part, we're going to talk about the flaxseed and then how it disrupts your reproductive and thyroid hormone production. So this first study actually shows an interference with the bioavailability in steroid metabolism. And it has, it also shows that flax seeds have quite a bit of estrogenic activity in the body. And, this confirms what I said earlier too. The researchers also, talk about how flax seeds are the richest known source of these estrogenic lignans. Now this study right here also shows how the researchers could use these dietary lignans, like those found in flax seeds, as well as isoflavones, which are also found in the flax seeds, to reduce the 5-alpha reductase enzyme, which is essential for the conversion of testosterone to DHT. So this study right here shows a significant reduction in androgen levels due to flaxseed supplementation. One of the main objections I saw in a lot of the comments on the old video was that they say, "Oh, there's no proof to what you're talking about," and directly, showing these direct drops in these androgen levels. And there actually is quite a bit, because it's not the only study. I'm going to show you a lot of studies that prove my point. And it's almost like it's not even my point. I'm literally just reporting on the medical literature. So if you're disagreeing with me, you're disagreeing with all this research. So this study right here showed a significant decrease in serum cholesterol, which cholesterol is a very, very highly misunderstood molecule in the body. It's treated as if it's bad. I'm going to do a full review of a video on cholesterol and the cholesterol myth in an upcoming video. But cholesterol is essential for all steroid hormone production. So this study right here also showed lower total and LDL cholesterol in postmenopausal women when consuming flax. This study right here shows a significant decrease in cholesterol, testosterone, and free androgens. This study right here shows that one of the lignans found in flaxseed, it's called enterolactone, has a negative correlation with testosterone as well as a positive correlation with SHBG. And SHBG, for those of you who don't know, is actually a protein that binds free androgens. So you don't want high SHBG levels. It's also indicative of a unhealthy liver. So this study right here actually shows and demonstrates pretty blatantly that these phytoestrogen compounds in flax seeds directly compete for the estrogen receptor. Now, a lot of people make the false claim that phytoestrogens have no estrogenic activity in the body. That is actually not true, and they do bind to estrogen receptors. So this study right here, again, proves that flax increases estradiol levels. In this study, we see that lactating rats that were fed flax actually led to excess cortisol levels in the adult male offspring. So it was passed from the milk of the mother rat into the offspring and led to high cortisol levels, high corticosteroid levels, pretty much. So in this study, they showed that exposure during breastfeeding of rats also can have an impact on the thyroid hormone metabolism in the adult male offspring. So it's interesting. It's all passed from the mother through the breast milk to the offspring, and it shows endocrine disrupting properties. This study right here shows that flaxseed consumption lowers the sex steroid hormones in obese women. That study right here showed a increase in prolactin in postmenopausal women. And prolactin is actually one of the stress hormones. The study right here showed that flaxseed has the potential to alter reproduction and the reproductive hormone ratios in a dose-dependent manner. So the more you take, the worse it gets. This study right here showed that a woman went through anaphylactic shock after containing some linseed containing bread. So certain people can have allergies to this type of stuff and these phytoestrogens in the seed. This study right here reviewed how endocrine disruptors and phytoestrogens underlie all sorts of different adverse human health effects. So this stuff's well known in medical circles. The study right here showed that a consumption of phytoestrogens actually alters hormone-sensitive hypothalamic brain volumes in mice. So it's changing the brain in any sort of receptor-based activity in the brain. And the study right here shows an inverse correlation with high fiber to the excretion of estrogen. I'm going to do another video on fiber, actually. It's really interesting. There's different types of fibers. They have different effects on the body. And the idea that you need to eat more fiber is another myth. This study right here shows some inhibition of aromatase, the aromatase enzyme. This study right here shows that lignans and the isoflavones, again, inhibit 5-alpha reductase, like I mentioned earlier. It's confirmed again. This one shows another reduction in the aromatase activity. And a lot of these studies are basically supporting the idea that this can lower breast cancer risk, but I'm going to show you some research showing that this flaxseed ingestion actually can make breast cancer worse. So there's this form of dogmatic thread of thought that goes through this research that people are really just trying to support a certain idea by doing their research, and they ignore some pretty critical things. In this one, we see that phytoestrogens actually modulate sex steroid binding protein, like something like SHBG, and affect the delivery of this protein to sex steroid dependent cells. So this study right here actually showed a decrease in the gonadotropin levels, the LH and FSH, in women. This study showed that Genistein, which I mentioned earlier, as one of the main phytoestrogens in flax seeds, causes an increase in uterine weight and has a direct effect on the mammary glands and the HPA axis in women. Anything that increases uterine weight or increases prostatic growth, you should stay far away from that. That's dangerous stuff, including Genistein. So perinatal exposure to Genistein actually had lasting alterations in the masculinization of the reproductive system of these rats. This study shows that phytoestrogens are potent endocrine disruptors, just like any exogenous form of hormones. Again, that's a massive myth that's being pushed in certain health cult communities, basically, that phytoestrogens play a positive role in the body. They do not. And that's backed by plenty of research showing that they are highly estrogenic. This study showed that the neonatal exposure to rats of this stuff led to a group of infertile and non-mating adult males. So especially if you're exposing any animal, including humans, to early developmental exposure to these compounds, it's very dangerous for the reproductive system. This study shows that Genistein has effects on estrogen-sensitive tissues in both male and female rats, again confirming that this is estrogenic. This shows that Genistein has an adverse effect on the female reproductive system, again confirming it. This study showed that isoflavone exposure from things like Genistein, DAIDZEIN results in increased estrogen sensitivity in female rats. This study shows Genistein influences spermatogenesis and significantly inhibits Leydig cells' steroidogenesis. So that's basically, it's hurting your sperm production and it's hurting your testosterone production. Simple as that. This study shows a decrease in androgen receptor production in the prostate of male rats. Fortunately, they only looked at the prostate. They should have looked other places too. Lots of androgen receptors in the body. So this shows that phytoestrogens have an inhibitory effect on the 17-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase enzyme, which is an enzyme that's necessary for the proper steroidogenesis of DHEA and testosterone. Now, the study showed a downregulation of both androgen and estrogen receptors, so that's interesting. So this study shows a possibility of phytoestrogens and other endocrine disrupting chemicals possibly inhibiting steroidogenesis. So this shows that genistein directly inhibits steroid synthesis. This again shows that genistein and DAIDZEIN have a direct impact on progesterone synthesis, which is another protective hormone. It's very important to have in the right balance. This study shows that an impairment of female reproductive system happen when due to neonatal exposure, basically, due to decreased stimulation of the GnRH neurons, which basically signal from the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland to increase gonadotropin signaling. So that's kind of scary. It's really affecting you on the brain level. And this shows that neonatal exposure can cause abnormal sexual differentiation, which is a bit scary, disruptive reproductive function, or inappropriate sexual behavior that may be detected later in life. That was all measured, through their tests and everything. That study. This study shows lactational exposure can alter neuroendocrine development in both male and female rats. And this shows that genistein exposure in male rats cause a decrease in aggressiveness and increase in defensiveness. And this compound basically is showing that it psychologically takes away some key masculine traits in these male rats. This study shows that phytoestrogens have a significant impact on the testicular function, which we've already proven in a couple other studies. We've seen that it shuts down basically sperm production and steroidogenesis in the Leydig cells in the testes. This shows that phytoestrogens like these basically alter the hypothalamic calbinin D28K levels in neonates and thus do not allow for programmed cell death, also called apoptosis, because of the buffered effect of calcium. So this study states that there are actually very clear effects of these phytoestrogens on sexual development, including altered pubertal timing, so delayed onset puberty, impaired menstrual cycles in ovarian function, and basically altered function of the HPG axis in general, which is the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. So this study shows the effects of prenatal exposure and sexual differentiation in rats. Now this states that even a small exposure to these phytoestrogens that we're talking about can alter estrogen expression in the brain and have an effect on behavior. So it can translate directly into behavior. And we saw that too with decreased masculine traits in certain rodents. And then this study shows that in adult males, genistein induces estrogenic effects in doses comparable to those in a soy-based diet, while in neonatal animals, considerably higher doses are required to show estrogen-like activity. All right, so that wraps up the reproductive function effects of these certain things in flax seeds that can have some very, very scary effects on your reproductive system and your thyroid. So now in this section, I'm going to do a little bit of a recap on the cancer-related research. So this study shows that phytoestrogens were not actually found to have anti-cancer effects. Now this is actually a really common claim that a lot of vegetarian, vegan communities use to promote the use of phytoestrogens. So they say it's anti-cancer, but this study says otherwise. This study right here shows that flaxseed oil actually makes prostate tumors more aggressive. They grow more aggressively. Now this study shows that genistein, which is again one of the compounds, the phytoestrogenic compounds in flax seeds, actually increases growth of mammary tumors, so basically breast cancer tumors, that are estrogen dependent. And like I said, there's a lot of estrogen receptors in these certain tissues, like the prostate and the breast tissue. So this study shows actually, they concluded that consuming this gives an increased risk of genital tract tumors in males and a few other possible disorders. This one shows that exposure to genistein during gestation physically demasculinizes the male offspring. And then last but not least, this study gives some really strong evidence for a correlation of environmental estrogens like this and the rise in breast cancer and male reproductive issues. So there you have it. This is a full recap of some scary research around flax seeds and flaxseed consumption. Now, I really hope that you reconsider any stance that you might think that flax seeds are healthy, because they fundamentally, the consumption of flax seeds fundamentally goes against the definition of health, the true definition of health, which is when your body is in hormonal balance and when your body does not have any micronutrient deficiencies. So there you have it. If you want to learn more about my philosophies based on this simple health framework, about how exactly you can use this framework to really turn around your life and get amazing energy, have better sleep, amazing sex drive and libido, no bedroom issues, have really high reproductive hormones and protective hormones like testosterone, progesterone, growth hormone, etc. And high for men is desirable, but just balanced levels of these protective hormones in general, while you have low stress hormones, which will help you, prevent cancer. It'll help you stay, less stressed throughout the day, which is just like a really nice psychological benefit to it. If you're interested in this stuff, I actually made a quiz. I made a tool where I distilled this down into a couple key questions, because what I noticed is that there's 3 organs that are essential to optimize in this framework, in this system. So I want to help you identify which body type you are within this system. So we've got the liver body type, we've got the pituitary body type, and we've got the thyroid body type. Now, each one of these exhibits certain characteristics that are actually quite easy to identify, and that's what the tool is for. I'm going to walk you through, and we're going to help identify which body type you are, which one of your organs out of these 3 you need to optimize first. So what's going to happen is when you optimize your liver, for example, certain symptoms that you're experiencing, based on what you tell me in the quiz, will go away, and you'll feel better. So I put together this tool. It's over at thethermodiet.com/quiz. And you can just go over there. It takes about 60 seconds and I'll help you through on your road to good health. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this video. If you know some friends who need to know about flaxseed, know the truth about flaxseed, just share this video with them. I'll see you on the next video. Consuming mineral chelators, which basically cause micronutrient deficiencies in general, then you may want to strongly reconsider eating beans.